Hello everybody, welcome to the 3D market commentary for today. Today is March 11th, it is a Friday, so hopefully your trading week is going well so far and you have a good weekend ahead of you. Let me just put the disclaimers on the top left hand side of the screen so that you can read those. If you need to pause the video to read them, by all means do. Now, if you have any questions as we go through this 3D market commentary, or you need any help or support as you think of things that you might be struggling with, you can always email us. There are different places you can go for support and resources. In terms of emails, you have Becky@tradewithufos.com. That's my email address, and you can get me on that. There's also support@tradewithufos.com, which again you can use to email us there as well. Now, there's another place you can go for help with resources. So let me bring that up. This is tradewithufos.com/Becky. So from here, you can get different apps and platforms. You can scroll down and book one-on-one coaching if you'd like to. Or you can scroll down further and you'll see loads of questions that have answers to them that you can learn from here. If you have a question that's not already on here, you can log in for free and post the question there as well. So many places you can go for help and support. Now, coming back to our 3D commentary, let's just bring up what we mean here. So our 3D market commentary, I've just realized that I did not load. Let me bring this up. I did not load the actual 3D market commentary for today. So let me just bring that up and we'll just load that here so we can see what we're looking at. There we go. Okay, so our 3D market commentary is a video that we do every day that helps us to expand on the email that we see here on the left hand side, which is an email that we send every day to our free members. Now, it's called a 3D market commentary because we are looking at three separate elements, three statistical elements in the markets. Now, these elements are here, and we look at it on different markets to understand the likelihoods, the probabilities involved in the financial markets that we look at. So the first of these three elements is what we call market climate. Now, market climate means essentially what's the likely upcoming market direction? Where is the market likely to go? Now, we use an app to help us. It's called AutoClimate. This is a free app on most platforms that you can get it on. And what AutoClimate does is analyze a bunch of things for us and comes back and shows us where we have the probabilities, up, down, or nowhere. So if we have a thick red dot, like we have there, that tells us probability is down. If we have a thick blue dot, that tells us probability is up. And if we have a thin dot of either color, that tells us probability is in neither direction. So we'll look at that per market to understand the upcoming market direction or the likely upcoming market direction. We'll then look at buy and sell UFOs. Now, UFO in this context stands for unfilled orders. What that means is where we have buyers and where we have sellers that are waiting that could push price up and down. So buyers are likely to push price up. We want to know where they are. And we can see that with our Auto UFOs app showing us these green UFOs. That shows us where the buyers are. Sellers are more likely to push price down. Therefore, we want to know where they are as well. And they are shown by the red UFOs. So we'll look at that per market. And the last thing we look at is market volatility, which is essentially how quickly we expect these markets to move. So we'll look at each of those elements per market, starting with the S&P 500, which is the top 500 US stocks. Now, for each of the markets, we're looking at a daily chart. So all of the statistics that we're talking about are relevant to daily charts. Now, of course, different things happen on different timeframes. So if you trade on different timeframes, it might not be as relevant, but this is all relevant to a daily timeframe. Okay, so the S&P 500, top 500 US stocks, is showing us a thick red dot. So that's probability downwards. Now, saying that, we've got a little bit of a fight going on at the moment. We have buyers just underneath us between 42.75 to 41.38.75. And we have sellers that we're just within right now, just on top there, between 44.18.75 to 42.81.25. So essentially what we have are buyers and sellers very close together, sellers pushing down, buyers pushing up. They have both already worked to have pushed price up or down respectively, and prices currently in between them, not really knowing in which direction to push. If you had to call it, then overall, you'd say overall probability to the downside because of the climate there pushing down. But to me, it's not enough probability because we've got buyers in the way that have already pushed price upwards. So to me, not enough probability or clear in one direction or the other. I would keep away from it. In terms of volatility, we would expect that the S&P 500 would move up or down in 1 year by 29.89%. In a day, that's 80.41 points. In a week, 177.02 points. And in a month, 368.5 points. So that's either up or down in terms of movement. So that's the S&P 500. The next market is crude oil. Before we do that, just to highlight here about the different courses that we offer. The courses are really affordable and they go through things like futures, forex, back testing, stocks, psychology, trading plans. Most of them come with a 3-month complimentary access to our apps as well. Now, AutoClimate, which is this app here, is a free app on most platforms. You can get it on anyway. However, Auto UFOs, which is where we see our buyers and sellers, that is a paid-for app, a monthly subscription, and depending on which platform you use, it depends on how much it costs. Now, you can subscribe directly for the Auto UFOs. You don't have to take a course in order to use them. You can just subscribe directly to them. However, most of the time, purchasing a course and getting 3 months free access is actually cheaper to do that than it would be to simply just use the apps for 3 months. So check that out and see what works best for you. Okay, so coming back to the next market, which is crude oil. Now with crude oil, what we see at the moment is a thin dot. Doesn't matter about the color. The fact that it's thin is telling us that there is not enough probability in either direction. We saw a recent spike to the upside. It's now dropped down a bit. It's now stalled. It's not really sure what it's doing. So we shouldn't be doing anything in a market that doesn't have clear probabilities. Now we do have buyers here between 100.54 to 87.46. And we have sellers here between 130.5 and 115.54. Kind of in between those buyers and sellers. If we were to hit the buyers today, we'd expect them to push price up. If we were to hit the sellers today, we'd expect them to push price down. For the time being, until we hit either stacks of orders, not enough probability in either direction. In terms of volatility, we'd expect oil to move up or down in 1 year by 67.34%. So in a day, 4.61 points. In a week, 10.16 points. And in a month, 21.14 points, either up or down. So that's crude oil. Now the next market is gold. Now as I load that, just to focus down here on our coaching and support that we offer, we do a bunch of free coaching and support. So you can email us, we do lots of videos on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and places like that. Now we do also have a small monthly fee for access to our closed coaching community. That gives you access to more resources and also to live trading videos. So you can check that out as well if you think it would be helpful. Okay, gold. We have a thick blue dot probability upwards on gold at the moment. We have no sellers that we can see, and we have buyers relatively close by between 1944.6 to 1916. So if price were to dip down there and hit the buyers, we would expect them to push price upwards. For the time being, probability to the upside anyway, overall for gold. Now in terms of volatility, we'd expect movement up or down in a year of 26.08%. So in a day, that's 32.82 points. In a week, 72.25 points. And in a month, 150.41 points. So that's gold. Okay, scrolling on to the next market, which is the US dollar. Now, bearing in mind with each of these markets, we are looking at what is probable, but not at what is definite. Nothing is ever guaranteed, not in life and not in the markets. So we still manage our risk in case we're wrong. We still might layer extra things on top of this to give us extra probabilities as well. So just bear that in mind. Okay, the US dollar. We have different things going on here. So let me explain. We have probability up coming from the climate. However, we have sellers that we've just hit. They are between 99.425 to 98.7. Now, price came up, hit these sellers, and were pushed down. That's what we expect sellers to do, is push price down. So we've recently had sellers start to push back against price. Now, saying that, we do have buyers relatively close by as well, between 97.85 to 97.925. Again, price came in, hit the buyers, and was pushed up from there. So what we expect buyers to do is push price up. So what we have here is probability up from the climate, buyers that have recently pushed up, but now sellers that have recently pushed down. So again, we're in a situation where we don't have a clear probability to one side or the other. So to me, not worth doing anything if we don't have odds stacked in our favor. In this case, we have some odds stacked against us. So in terms of volatility on the US dollar, we would expect movement up or down in 1 year of 11.31%. In a day is 0.7 points. In a week is 1.55 points. And in a month, 3.22 points. That's the US dollar. Now, the last market, last but not least, is backed Bitcoin. So let's bring that up. Now, as I load this, just a highlight here about our platform. It's called TOP, stands for Traditive Options Planner. Now, if you're an options trader, this is especially helpful because of the exclusive apps that help specifically with options that are integrated into the platform. But even if you are a stocks trader, a forex trader, a futures trader, you can use TOP for analysis, and it integrates all of our apps in there into one place. Okay, so backed Bitcoin, thick red dot, probability down. We have sellers here, little way away from us, between 45,205 to 42,935. And we have buyers down here between 32,820 to 31,615. So quite far from either stacks of buyers or sellers, unlikely that they have any impact on us in a recent or coming future. We do have probability down though coming from the climate. So overall probability down. In terms of volatility, expected movement up or down in 1 year is 77.22%. So in a day, that's 1,869.27 points. In a week, 4,115 points. And in a month, 8,566.06 points, either up or down. So that brings us to the end of our markets. And for each of these markets, we've looked at different statistical elements that have given us probabilities based on what's more likely to happen in these markets. So we've looked at market climate, which helps us figure out if we have probabilities up, down, or nowhere in terms of the upcoming movement. We used auto climate to help us with that. Thick blue dot, probability up. Thick red dot, probability down. Thin dot, probability nowhere. We then looked at buy and sell UFOs for each of our markets. We found buyers that could push price up. We found sellers that could push price down. And then we looked at volatility, which is understanding the movement that we could expect in a year, a day, a week, and a month. The last thing to look at is our weekly economic calendar, which we get from fxstreet.com. We filter by high impact news because we want to know which scheduled news reports are likely to have an impact on the markets that we trade. So today being Friday, we had some news earlier on in the morning, 2 a.m. Eastern time, news that could have affected the European market or the European or the euro. And we have some news coming out, I think if that's an 8:30, then that's now US time, that could affect the Canadian markets or Canadian dollar. And we have some news coming out around 10 a.m. Eastern time that could affect the US dollar or US markets. So be aware of that if you trade those markets. Again, any questions, you can email me or you can go to tradewithufos.com/Becky. If you scroll down, there's questions and answers down here that might help you, or you can log in for free and ask the question there and we'll answer it here. You can also book one-on-one coaching if you'd like, or look for different apps and platforms here as well. So today being Friday, I wish you guys a great end to your trading week, a great weekend ahead. I will be taking a stock session at 5 p.m. my time, so that's 12 p.m. Eastern. So I will see you guys later on, and take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.